Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting live from the Kata Studio. Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, and as always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. So how y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. So we've got some stuff to talk about today. You know, we're going to be talking about Hamas, Israel, Trump news, some stuff on Biden. We're going to be talking the new Speaker of the House. We're going to be talking about a few other things. But before we get into all that, we are just 3 days away from my favorite holiday, Halloween, Tuesday, October 31st. I am so excited because this year is the 6th annual Halloween haunted radio show. So if you head on over to alexexum.com/Halloween, or just follow the description down in the follow the link down in the description below, you can feast your ears upon this. As soon as I get to the right link, there it is. Scroll down a little bit. Here we go.
Step into a world where darkness reigns and fear takes center stage. Prepare to be transported to the heart of spine-chilling suspense and heart-pounding fear with Haunted Radio. 6 terrifying radio dramas. Bigfoot Speaks. Dead again. Scary Mary.
This is no campfire fairy tale. It is based in history.
Manor of Death.
Oh, God! Give him some room!
He's stunning you!
He's dead!
Dr. Stein.
The blood! The blood!
Join us for an auditory journey that will send shivers down your spine and leave you trembling in anticipation, creating an experience that will haunt your imagination long after the show's over. Get your tickets at 562live.com.
Oh, yes, this year is a special year because not only are you getting the new Karen, but he is also going to be playing his 5 previously released episodes: Bigfoot Speaks, Interview with the Sasquatch, Scary Mary, Dead Again, manner of death and the diabolical Dr. Stein. I'm so excited. I really am. It's going to be a good time. So again, head on over to alexexum.com/Halloween. Just click on the get your tickets link on there. Actually, let me look at what the link actually says. I mean, it's down there at the bottom. It's easy to see. Tickets on sale now. Yeah. Click that link and that'll take you to the event page on Eventbrite. And then you can get your tickets, and they're still, surprisingly enough, just $9. That's a heck of a deal, let me tell you. $9 for a 2-hour show. It starts at 6:30 p.m. That is Pacific time, so that's going to be 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central, and 9:30 Eastern. So yes, and I am again super excited. It's going to be pretty stinking awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get into what we have to discuss today. Like I said, there's quite a few things going on, quite a few things to discuss, but we're going to start with this article from Daily Kos. And I'm going to be honest with you. I originally clicked on this one just because of the picture. But the headline is something that is fundamentally accurate and is a building block of what this nation was founded upon. It really is. But again, I originally clicked on this one because of the picture, and it's absolutely hilarious. You got to check this out. All right. I'm going to describe this the best that I can for those of you that are listening over there in podcast land, over in Spreaker and wherever else podcasts are available. It's Trump kind of wrapped up in a robe like what may have been worn by Jesus. And he's throwing up the middle finger, which is absolutely freaking hilarious. I love it. But the headline is, America was founded as a Christian nation. And it absolutely was. There's a reason I bring it up. Okay? There's a reason I bring it up. Because of, well, okay, first, yes, it was founded on Judeo-Christian values. And that's very apparent. Even, those whom were atheists or agnostic of our founding fathers understood the values, the teachings that were in the Holy Bible. And I love it whenever they try to tout things of, separation of church and state, separation of church and state. Look. That doesn't exist in our founding documents, okay? It's not in there. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's not in the Constitution. It's not in the Declaration of Independence. It's not in there. It doesn't exist, all right? I mean, if it was, do you really think that one of George Washington's first acts as president of the United States would have been to distribute the New Testament to all kinds of places? Basically, every public school was distributed to all of the students. And, a public school back then, not a public school of today that is operated by government. No. A public school of back then. All right. That was one of his first acts as president. Do you really think that one of our founding fathers who fought and defended our nation against the British, tyrannical government against the king, do you really think if separation of church and state was actually there, if that would have been one of the first acts that he would have done? Yeah, I don't think so. And again, I bring that up because, you have the new speaker, which I'll talk about a little later. But they're basically telling him, leave your religion at the door. But wait a second. Hold up. We have Rashida Tlaib. We've got Ilhan Omar. Are they being asked to leave their religion at the door? No. It's very one-sided on those type of things. It's very one-sided. The only thing that the Constitution says is that you can't establish a national religion, because instead we promote religious freedom. You can worship under whatever denomination you choose, whatever religion you choose, worship whatever God that you choose to worship, as long as your freedom of religion does not stop any of my freedoms, then you're good. Good, fine, and dandy. I mean, that's America. That's just kind of what we believe, you know, because your freedom ends where my freedom begins. It's the freedom of, not the freedom from. And we were founded as we were founded. I mean, it's just kind of, it's irritating whenever we're being attacked in the ways that we are with everything that's going on and stuff that we'll get into a little later. But talking about defending the Constitution, because that's what we talk about here on the Ho Ho Show. I'm sure some of you know we had another mass shooting up in Maine. And no surprise to anybody, you have, you know, Joe Biden questioning who needs high-capacity assault weapons in the wake of Maine shootings. And you know what? But before we go any further, I got to ask, what's an assault weapon? Or at least, how do you define an assault weapon? I mean, I know what defines an assault weapon. It's a firearm that shoots multiple rounds downrange with a single trigger pull, whether it be automatic, whether it fire in bursts. You know, that's what an assault weapon is, as per the original definition of an assault weapon. What they define assault weapon is basically any military style rifle that just looks scary. That's it. It ain't got nothing to do with ballistics. It doesn't have anything to do with, you know, the round, the size of the round, its lethality, nothing. I mean, it's stuff that they make up. Attachments, this, that, and the other. Just calling something an assault weapon doesn't make it an assault weapon. Just so you know, a knife can be an assault weapon if you use it to assault somebody. It's a made-up term. It doesn't exist. Just pointing that out to you. And one of the things that we should note on here as well is, well, you know, with the much as what the left likes to do is politicize everything that happens, you know, never waste a good tragedy. You know, that's kind of what the left, that's a moniker of the left. That's what they do. Never waste a good tragedy. This is more of an example of why we have and need to protect and defend our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Let me rephrase that, because, you know, this is something else that is kind of irritating to me that they get wrong all the time. And I'm guilty of it too. You know, I ain't going to lie. I'm guilty of it too. We don't have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms. We have a God-given right to keep and bear arms. You know, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Why is that important? It's an unalienable right. It's a right that is given to you by God, by nature's God, however you want to look at it, by the Creator. It's a right given to you by the Creator. It wasn't given to you by government. What God gives you, no man can take away. What man gives you, man can take away. And it's constitutionally protected, not constitutionally granted. There is a difference. There's a difference. There's a big difference. It's an example of why we need to protect that right to keep and bear arms. And another example, what happened in Israel? What was it? 1,400 Jews and others killed in Israel at the hands of Hamas. That's a pretty good stinking reason, too, as to why we need to protect our God-given right to keep and bear arms. Seems pretty self-evident to me. I don't know about you, but it seems pretty self-evident to me. And then you have Kamala Harris, and I had to laugh at what she said. This headline is from the Daily Signal. Harris seizes on Maine mass shooting to push for Australian-style gun laws. And I thought this was absolutely hilarious because, you know, here's the thing, okay? They actually have, okay, yes, since they had that, you know, gun buyback in Australia, crime has gone down. So I know what you're thinking. You know, that's, or at least this is the thought process of the left. You know, this is an example as to why, you know, gun bans and gun buybacks and things like that actually work. But, you know, you kind of got to read a little bit into the news to find out what's actually going on. Because there is actually more guns in Australia now after the gun buyback versus what it was before the gun buyback. Huh, that's interesting. So even her own argument doesn't hold water. I thought that was absolutely hilarious whenever I heard that one. You know, not to mention we have so many examples just in the U.S. of why that claim is ridiculous. I live in the grand state of Illinois. We lovingly call it California. It's kind of ridiculous here whenever it comes to gun laws. We have a very unconstitutional gun laws. The heck was that? Very unconstitutional gun laws. We have what's called an FOID card, which is completely unconstitutional. Governor Pritzker, and we lovingly call him Governor Gravy Sweats, over here at Weaponized Sloth, signed a new law that's in effect that limits the purchase of certain weapons, the owners, the being able to purchase high capacity magazines, and, you know, stuff of that nature. But, you know, there was a caveat in there that if you already had, you know, purchased one of these weapons and high capacity magazines, that you can keep it grandfathered in. You just have to register it before a certain date. And just so you know, in order to get an FOID card, you got to go through a background check, quite thorough, before you buy any firearm with the state. You have to do another background check, and that weapon is registered with the state, and it's registered with ATF. I know this for a fact. It is. So the fact that they want to grandfather you in, but yet require you to re-register your weapon is completely ridiculous considering it's already registered. Why do you want me to redo it again? You know, your ability to maintain your records is not my concern. And a lot of people in Illinois agree with that sentiment because the re-registration hasn't been going over too well. It's not very popular. There's not a lot of people doing it. And in all kinds of places, in all kinds of counties, many sheriffs and police departments has flat out told Governor Gravy Sweats and reassured the people that we will not comply with what is obviously an unconstitutional law. It's about freaking time. I just wish that the Supreme Court would actually support and defend the Constitution in overturning some of these ridiculous laws. I mean, why do we, here's my question, okay? Some states have constitutional carry. Some states have rigorous background checks, loopholes, or not loopholes, but red tape, all kinds of hoops you got to jump through in order to get your concealed carry or just, to be able to buy a gun, period. Why? Why is this even a discussion? It's the Second Amendment. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That seems pretty stinking self-explanatory to me. Why is there even that discussion of whether a state is going to have the ability to constitutional carry, which is where it should be in all 50 states, versus what we have right here in California? It's quite ridiculous to me. Don't understand it. But this would be a reason, an example of why we need. You look at these mass shootings, and one of the things that, the mainstream media will never talk about is promoting a good guy with a gun. How shootings has not become mass shootings because they were stopped by a good guy with a gun. I think this is something we need. And I think it's pretty obvious and apparent with what's going on in the news today. So I'm also sure that y'all have heard about the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And, I listened to his speech that he did, and listening to that speech, it sounded very promising. He said all the right things, okay, wanting to get the Republican Party back to its 7 core principles, which are the 7 core principles of conservatism: individual freedom, limited government, rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity. He's saying all the right things. I completely agree with him. Everything that he said, I loved it. It was great. It was an awesome speech. It gave me hope. But then I have to remember that these people do not work for you and me. How many times, as a Republican, have we been promised things that the Republican Party was going to do if you vote them into power, and then whenever you do, they don't do jack? I mean, unfortunately, that's what happens a lot, right? Isn't it? They make promises, they never follow through. This happens. Okay? I mean, this is how we got into this boat in the first place, with having to elect another Speaker in the House in this Congress. First it was McCarthy. Forgot what the guy's stinking name was. That was horrible. First it was McCarthy. Somebody whom, it really looked like he was doing some shady stuff. He was doing some backdoor dealing. Backdoor dealing. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. He wasn't following through, because here's one of the things, guys, okay? When did the Republican Party get control of the House? That was January 2021, right? Yeah. Huh. No. January 2023. Yeah. January 2023. Or was it 2021? That was 2023. Yeah. We are still no. Yeah. I don't know. My point is, we're still in the fiscal year of Nancy Pelosi. It was 2021, wasn't it? I don't know. Anyway, we are still living under Nancy Pelosi's, her budget. Yeah, it was 2021. Yeah. Because they went in there and they did all kinds of things. They did a continuing resolution. They did an omnibus bill that was freaking huge that went for like 18 months. 14 or 18 months. That's what they did. So we're still under that. And how many appropriations bills have they done? None. Like actual appropriations bill. No way, I take that back. I think they did one, maybe two, and they're supposed to be doing 12, and we're running out of time. Very quickly running out of time. But here's one of the things that gives me hope for this new speaker, Mike Johnson. There's a couple of things that gives me hope. And let me tell you what those are. Okay. Yes, he said all the right things. That really doesn't give me hope because I've been let down before. It's kind of standard operating procedure whenever it comes to Republicans going to D.C. But the thing that gives me hope is he's hated by all the right people too. The left despise him. There is so much stuff coming out, so many tweets that have gone out, so many attacks already by, mainstream media. I mean, it kind of gives me hope that, maybe something good will come of this. And then I read just today, actually. Well, okay. One thing, let me go back to the hated by all the right people. This article from the Atlantic. Where is Mike Johnson's ironclad oath? You see, they want to put in here that Mike Johnson is a great-grandson, or however many greats there are, of somebody who fought in the Confederacy, and he had to give an oath of this, this ironclad oath. That's one of the things that he was forced to do. They're linking him because he supported Donald Trump revolving around January 6th that, he needs to have, this whole ironclad oath, maybe this whole thing of rebelling is something that just runs in the family. This Mike Johnson guy, he has faulty genes. That's basically what they're saying. I mean, it's completely ridiculous, right? That's what they're saying. But again, and they also wanted to claim that because he supported, the Trump's claim, factually accurate because it's constitutionally true, that he can't even be Speaker of the House. And it's like, dude, if that was the issue, then he shouldn't even be in Congress. But here's the thing, nobody, not any of the people whom have been prosecuted, not any of the people whom have pled guilty to anything, not anybody anywhere, not even including Donald J. Trump, our former president of the United States of America, nobody has been charged at all of insurrection. Isn't that an important thing to note? I think it is. So he's hated by all the right people. He has said all the right things. It makes me have to kind of laugh. And then you get what I had heard just today. Now, this actually happened, I believe. Yeah, it happened yesterday. It happened Friday. But they passed the first funding bill after, 3 weeks that the House was basically shut down? It kind of gives you hope, because I was afraid. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. I was skeptical. I figured the very first thing that we were going to see, because, we're like 2 weeks away from a government shutdown, that we were going to see another omnibus bill or a continuing resolution bill. That's what I expected to see, to give them more time to do something, which was going to be nothing. That's what I expected to see. I was surprised. I was shocked to see that they actually did an appropriations bill instead of a continuing resolution or an omnibus. I expected a continuing resolution followed by an omnibus. That's just what I expected. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's what I expected to see. But hey, you know what? I was surprised, and I was happy about that. Quite surprised. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. And when we return, we're going to be talking about Hamas. We're going to be talking about Israel and some other, just all the crap surrounding all of that. That's what we're going to be discussing. So just a couple minutes and I will be right back. Don't go nowhere. We got a lot more to go. Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. All right, and we are back. There's a lot of articles associated with this episode. I think there's like 42, 41, 40-ish is what I put in the magazine. And of which case you can go to thehohoshow.com. Just click on that newsfeed tab and you'll see my magazine over there on Flipboard. My go-to hub for everything news. It's a great hub. I use it all the time. Not a sponsor of the show, but maybe they should be. I'll have to reach out to them. It'd be awesome. Anyway. There's a lot of stuff in there. A lot of stuff to reference materials that you can use to fact check me and everything that I say. And I definitely recommend y'all's doing that. And here's why. Trust but verify. Own your opinion. It's always best to get the information for yourself. From multiple sources. Not just one. Not just two, not just three. Use as many as you can. And there's all kinds of good sources out there. Ground News, I think, is one of them that's really good. I mean, it takes the issue and it looks at what is being said from multiple sources and gives you the political leaning that is being promoted and being put out there, which I think is kind of freaking cool. But anyway. So let's get into this Hamas and Israel thing, because things are looking pretty nasty. Wow. Things are looking pretty stinking nasty. A lot of the reporting here in the States from mainstream media, like your MSNBC, your CNN, your CBS, your mainstream media sources, they're getting a lot of their information from Hamas as far as, what's going on. Like, for instance, the hospital bombing. Okay. The first immediate reports that were coming over here was saying that this was an Israeli attack. Well, that wasn't true. And this information didn't come from Israel. It came from Hamas, a terrorist organization that hopped over the border. Almost 1,000 people, and killed from 12 to 14,000 people, or 100 people. A lot. 12 to 14,000 people. No, 12 to 1,400 people. Yeah, I'll get it right. And the atrocities that they did, we talked about this on the last episode. I'm not going to go through it again. But it just pure and simple evil. What Hamas did in Israel to the Israeli people, to those who were visiting, to Americans. Atrocities. Pure evil. They demonstrated themselves to be savages. There's no other way to look at it. There's no other way to put it. What they did was evil. And as I stated in the last episode, there's only one way for Israel to go about doing this. There is. Okay? But, we'll get into that here in a minute. The media knows that Hamas is lying. But yet they choose to report those lies anyway. Why? Because, mainstream media and numerous other people, not just here nationally, but other countries as well, have just decided that Israel bad and Palestine good. they've just decided, ignoring history, ignoring what has been going on over there for over 2,000 years, ignoring the entire history of what's been going on, they still choose to back and support Hamas, terrorist organizations, and it's just, well, quite frankly, ridiculous. They have chosen to look at Israel as the oppressor, and it's a lie. It's a lie. And they know it's a lie. I'm sure y'all have heard about the extravagant tunnel system that is underneath Gaza. And from what reports has been coming back from people whom, you know, some of the people that have been released, massive stockpiles of food, fuel, medical supplies. They even reported that they have air conditioning down in there. You know, it just goes to show you what all this humanitarian money that they've been getting, where all that money went. To these extravagant tunnels, the medical supply, the food, the fuel, everything. It just goes to show you where our hard-earned money has gone. Isn't that just awesome? That our hard-earned money, our tax dollars that the government stole from us, went to fund and help fund Hamas and their attack on Israel. Doesn't that make you feel good? I mean, I could take the time, connect some dots, but I think if you paid any attention, then I'm sure you know. You know, the dots have been connected. It's pretty clear. You know, a lot of money went their way. Now, granted, they didn't build these things in, you know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. No, it took them longer to build these extravagant tunnels. Massive, extravagant tunnels. It took them some time, but think about how long we have been giving humanitarian money to Gaza, to the Palestinian people. No. We haven't been giving money to the Palestinian people. We've been giving money to Hamas, a terrorist organization. Let's call it what it is, shall we? So yeah, we know that's what they've been doing with it. You know, and one of the things that Hamas does, they have actually admitted to reporters hiding underneath hospitals in Gaza. They don't just hide underneath hospitals, though. They hide underneath hospitals. They hide underneath schools. They hide underneath apartment buildings. They hide underneath places because they know that Israel is better than they are. Where Hamas goes in and kills indiscriminately, where Hamas goes in, brutally rapes, murders women, murders people, beheads children, kidnaps people, tortures people. I mean, these are all the things that we know that Hamas did when they crosses over the border. You know, they did this on an Israeli holy day, on the Sabbath. That's what they did. That's what Hamas did. But what did Israel do? Did they go over there immediately and strike back? Did they cut off their communications? Did they do everything that they could have done? Did they? No. What did Israel do instead? They waited 3 freaking weeks. Warnings upon warnings upon warnings, leaflets letting them know, get out or die. We're coming in and we're exterminating the cockroaches. So if you ain't a cockroach, you might want to get out of there. If you is a cockroach, you're about to die. That's what they said. 3 weeks worth of warning, 3 weeks worth of leaflets, 3 weeks of letting them know, get the heck out. But what happened though? What happened instead? Hamas, being the kind, loving, peaceful people that they are, they let them leave. Oh, no. They didn't. They blocked them leaving. They threatened to kill them, which they did. Many of their own people, they killed, loving Hamas, great people they are. Yeah. Who drew first blood on this? Who drew first blood on this war? Israel or Hamas? It was Hamas. Who drew first blood in Gaza? Was it the Palestinians or was it Hamas? It was Hamas. Let's get it straight and know who the guilty party is. So yeah, they use them as human shields because they know that Israel is not going to indiscriminately attack Hamas, killing countless Palestinian civilians. That's not what Israel is all about. So they gave them 3 weeks warning. Finally, Israel has started the second phase, not just with bombing some strategic locations, but actually going in a ground force into Gaza. And all this is very bad. I mean, there's several things that I have in here. And I recommend y'all checking that out. I really do. Check it out. But we also have a problem here. I don't know if you're aware of this. And some of this is laughable, not in the funny ha-ha way, but in the this is absolutely pathetic way. We've been giving money to Israel, giving money to Ukraine, giving money to all kinds of nations. Some of them, even nations that hate us, and we've been giving them money to secure the border. In the meantime, we have, under Obama's presidency, it is worse than it has ever been any time in our history. In the history of the United States, it's worse than what it's ever been. Period. End of story. There is no arguing. There's just, you can't, no. Now, it's the worst it's ever been in history. Ever. They refuse to do anything to guard against illegal crossings. They know about the 80,000 plus missing children from the southern border. They know about the fentanyl that's coming over the southern border. They know about the human trafficking, the weapons trafficking, the sex trafficking. They know about all this and they do not care. And, our liberal left would like to claim that they are a bunch of humanitarians and they're doing this for positive things. And, they want to ignore the death and the drugs and the human trafficking, the sex trafficking, the children trafficking. They want to ignore everything bad that's going on and just wanting you to believe as a stupid American citizen that everything that's going on down there is perfectly good. They even lie to you and say that, oh no, the border's secure. And yet it's the worst it's ever been. But you see, Hamas in their charter, as in a founding document of Hamas, is to kill Israel, Jews, kill the Jews, but not just people in their region, but to kill infidels everywhere. Everywhere. All infidels, everywhere. That's part of the charter of Hamas. Their manifesto, if you will. Guess what? I'm an infidel. You're an infidel too. And it's not enough to be Muslim. You got to be their flavor of Muslim. And if you're not their flavor of Muslim, well, then they'll kill you too. So, nobody's safe. We have a porous border, as bad as it's ever been. And we know of a lot, really. I silenced my phone. Apparently, I did not silence my watch. We don't know how many Palestinians, possible people from Hamas, that has come across our southern border. We have no idea. I don't remember the number of how many people on terrorist watch lists from Hamas, from Palestinians whom have come across from Gaza. I don't know how many has come across. They said a number. I don't remember what that number was, and that was just people that they caught that were on the terror watch list. And even those that they do catch, and, what's your country of origin? They say Palestine. And, well, see, here's the thing. Evidently, and this is by design, there's no category for that. There's Mexico, there's Honduras, there's, several other places that you can, that they'll mark on there for you. But whenever it comes to Palestine, they say, ooh, other. That's how they mark it. This has been confirmed down at the southern border. You can look it up. You can research it if you want to, but you probably don't want to, because you'll find out that, yes, we have Hamas terrorists, sleeper cells, right here in the United States as we speak. Hate to tell you this. So the very people that were involved with the savages in killing innocents in Israel are here. They have already defined you, me, all of us as enemies, infidels. And they've already been given the okay to attack when they actually intend on doing something I don't know. I had a conversation with somebody not that terribly long ago, and we were talking about this. And this person asked me when, and I'm like, I honestly have no idea. It's like, it's coming. I can tell you that much. They're here. There's no denying that. It's clear what they want and what they intend on doing. They flat told us, and they gave us a demonstration in Israel of what they intend on doing here. I don't know when. It could happen anytime. They've been given the go-ahead. They've not been activated yet, but they've been given the go-ahead. It was allowed by our government. I don't know. It could happen anytime. That this person threw out a possible date, and I'm like, well, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. All I can say is be frosty, be vigilant. That's all I can say. You got to protect yourself. You can't rely on the government to do it for you. You can't rely on the police to be right there when the worst happens, as we have seen in this mass shooting over in Maine. You can't rely on them. You've got to protect yourself. Defend your rights. What happened in Israel very much has the potential to happen here. Can't deny it. Just a couple minutes and I'll be right back. Have you ever been so full of it your eyes are brown? Have you ever had an ailment that do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. Oh man, so that was entertaining. That was quite entertaining for me. I just got to tell you. You see, I forgot totally which one I played last time. I mean, I completely forgot which one I played last time. And whenever you go from one and you play another, it doesn't stop the one that you had already started playing. It just starts playing the other one. So that's why I kind of had three of those things playing at the same freaking time. That was a good time. That was great. That was great. Wow. I'm a professional, ladies and gentlemen. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. Anywho, let's go ahead and get back into this. You know, there's one thing I forgot to talk about before I, headed out. Okay, there's one thing I forgot to mention, one thing I forgot to talk about, and, it's like, I'm sorry, but this is actually kind of important, okay? We have people, not just around the world, but here, whom after over 2,000 years of history don't know who the good guys are and don't know who the bad guys are in this Israeli-Palestinian, matchup that's going on right now. They don't know who the good guys are. They don't know who the bad guys are, even though you've got over 2,000 years of history going on just in that little bitty area. They don't know who the good guys are. They don't know who the bad guys are. And yet, leftists, liberals are choosing to defend Hamas. And not just the 2,000 years of history, but just the recent history. People that are considering what Hamas did in Israel as justified, even though the claims that they are making are untrue. A complete lie. Okay, and these are things we talked about last week as far as some of those reasons as to why, but yet they are defending Hamas and condemning Israel. You got people in, various colleges, which just goes to show you that these colleges are no longer institutions of higher learning, but of indoctrination. Thought police. Those that, are defending these people's right to free speech, even though you look at these schools as history and they're not bastions of free speech. In fact, they silence conservative and conservatism any chance they get. And yet they'll defend people who want to defend Hamas and claim that they're doing this because they value free speech. Why don't they value free speech whenever it's coming from a conservative? It's because they don't value free speech. But here's my point. If you're one of these people that are defending Hamas, then you are defending the violent, brutal rape of women. You're supporting and you're defending torture, indiscriminate killing, and the beheading of babies. I mean, that one we shouldn't be surprised about either. I mean, should we? Because we are talking about a party that is okay with late-term abortion, which means you crown the head, you poke a hole in there, you shove a vacuum cleaner up in there, and then you suck all the brains out of the skull while it's still in the womb, and the baby can cry and feel everything, and then they go in there and then they, dismember the body. So, I mean, we really shouldn't be surprised about the leftists that are pro-choice having any problem with fourth-term abortion. Because, I mean, hey, isn't that what this is? Fourth-term abortion? Yeah, so, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised that that's something that they're okay with. But, even still, women's rights, but yet they're okay with, women being brutally raped and tortured and everything else. LGBTQ community, and yet, Hamas throws gays and members of the LGBTQ community off of rooftops to see if they can fly. It just makes no sense to me why these people would support a group that would, given the chance, kill them if they were to want to exercise their rights over there in Gaza. It makes no sense to me why they would support a group that would kill them. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But that's what you have. Activists over here that are supporting Hamas. I mean, know what it is you're supporting, right? Know what you're supporting. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. New topic. Let's move on. So I've been hearing some information regarding EVs, especially with this, I got to get a drink. Especially with this UAW strike, which is, at least in one place, I believe it's, they was able to get something signed. I haven't really seen an article about it, but something that I did hear. So, I mean, that's good news, right? Isn't it? That's kind of good news. But, here's why this is important, because this is one of the things at these auto manufacturers they're not liking, and that's this whole EV thing. Okay, they really don't like it. Let me tell you what it is. All right, let me give you a little something, little information here, okay? This is the federal government picking and choosing winners. Okay. Let's get in the article a little quick. This headline from Newsmax: study fueling EVs really costs about $17 per gallon. That's what the headline says. All right. Now, yes, it says that they say that it's like $1.21. But in all honesty, once you take everything into consideration, it's closer to $17 per gallon. It's like $17.33 per gallon. Per gallon of gasoline. Equivalent. Yeah. That's what they're saying. Okay. And one of the things that they're talking about in here is, with the real cost of these vehicles, which, and I don't know why they're even throwing that 17.33 per gallon in there. And then they're throwing in there the, with the subsidies and whatnot that you can get, but it's like, okay, you're looking at, the extra strain on the power grid, and of which case the power grid is not equipped to handle what it is they're wanting to do. So, I mean, they're making gas-powered vehicles way more expensive, shutting down production over here, which we are, we're not doing as good, okay? We're supporting people who hate us. In the process, instead of using our own oil, we're using oil from other places, from people who hate us and want to start wars, and that's bad. But we're not there with the technology, like with batteries and whatnot, supporting China. China's, they're wanting to overthrow and doing all kinds of stuff over there in Taiwan and the Philippines and other places like that. And, it just looks bad, giving money to Iran with the fuel and funding Russia's invasion into Ukraine and Chimera. Yes, we funded that, which is great because Biden shut down the oil drilling here and, made us buy from somewhere else. And so we're helping them out on all this, which is really great. That's what our tax dollars are doing. High fuel prices and everything else it's really great. It's amazing. I love what the president has done with the place. It looks amazing. Worse than putting chandeliers in a haunted house. It's amazing. But one of the things that I heard was that these EVs, if it wasn't for the government subsidies that is paid for by you and me, our tax dollars at work, these EVs would be costing like $80,000 more than what they do cost. So you're talking some of these EVs costing, over $110,000, $120,000. That's what they would be costing. Holy shit. But it's the government subsidies. It's the government picking winners and losers. It's the government that is falsely, they're using our tax dollars to prop up these companies that, let's just face it, if it wasn't for these government subsidies, these things wouldn't really even exist. Okay? I mean, these windmills are not cost effective. They're just not. You can say what you want to, but they're not cost effective. And if it wasn't for these subsidies, how many people would truly be buying electric vehicles? Why do I keep wanting to call it electronic? Electric vehicles. How many people, if it wasn't for government subsidies, would want to spend $120,000 on an EV whenever you can go and buy a brand new freaking whatever the hell you wanted to vehicle for like not even half the freaking price? Would you still do it? Would you still do it? Isn't that a legitimate question? If it wasn't for the government subsidies, would you still buy an EV versus a gasoline vehicle? Would you buy a hybrid? I mean, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do? I want to know. That's a legitimate question. If it wasn't for the government subsidies, would you still spend $120,000 on an EV? I know what my answer is. No. Just can't pay more on my freaking vehicle than what I did on my house. I can't justify that, Just can't do that. Just can't. If it wasn't for these government subsidies, would they be using, the wind turbines? No, because it's not cost effective. I mean, you're spending $10 to save $5. You're still spending $5. Would you do it? No. Makes no sense. If it wasn't for the government subsidies, if it wasn't for the government paying for it in various locations, would you install solar panels on top of your house? Would you do it? Is it cost effective? Would you do it? I mean, I don't know what it costs to install solar panels on your house right now. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is. But what I do know is, anytime you turn around, especially and they're promoting this pretty big here in Illinois. They're promoting it pretty big. That basically they'll pay for it. The government will pay for it if you'll get it put on your house. How much does it really cost? How long would it take for you to recoup the cost of switching to solar? Is it cost effective? The answer is no. It's just not. The technology is not there. Our grid is not there. We can't support any of the things that the left wants to do. It's just not there. What in the world? I have no idea. And these are all things that are making the the Democrats, the lefts look pretty bad. Speaking of Biden, let's get into some of the stuff that he's been doing here recently. This is great. This is good stuff. Gotta holy crap. Hey, I apologize. Hello, Dave, over there in Spreaker Lane. Good to see you, sir. Holy cow. I got some messages in there. Let's see here. These is prices, not places. I must have misspoke. I probably did. I've done that quite a few times today already. He said in here, I had several different companies come to my house and offer me places in solar power. Okay, I get it. Prices, not places. Let's start off at the beginning. I probably should do that. He said, "Good evening, sir. Sorry I'm late. I'm paying attention. I'm on my way home from the racetrack. Awesome." And he says no, and I'm assuming that's no on buying, getting solar panels or an EV, without these subsidies. I know I wouldn't be doing it, but he said he had several different companies come to my house to offer me prices in solar power, and it never added up true savings. Exactly, Dave. And that's what I've been seeing. It's just like, even with the subsidies, okay, even with the government paying for them, in many places, just people can't justify the hassle. They can't justify any of it. I mean, they just can't do it. It's like, and I would actually look into it more if it wasn't for me basically having a tree that covers up a lot of my roof, and I really don't want to, get rid of the tree. I'm like, it legit is significantly cooler in my backyard to what it is my front yard because of the shade. Like, it legit, significantly, like 5 to 10 degrees. See, I'm having trouble talking. You see that? I'm definitely having issues talking today. But it's a significant drop just because of that tree from the front yard to the backyard. It is. It's there, but I mean, I don't want to cut the tree down because I like the shade. I like the drop in temperature, but that my roof is really not, solar panel friendly. Way too many peaks, way too many valleys. It's just not very conducive. Dave also pitched in and goes, I also know somebody who is a leader in the field and told me to my face, oh, this is going to be interesting. Solar power in the Northeast or the Northwest is not as effective as solar power in the Southeast or the Southwest closer to the equator. They're just not enough sun when you get further away north of the equator. And you know what? That makes so much freaking sense. You know, I mean, that just, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, you know, think about it. Think about this too. Okay. You know, you get further north, and even me, where I live, you know, I'm central Illinois. I'm like, you know, like right there, smack dab in the center of Illinois. That's where I'm located at. Okay. And, you know, we like to use things that the government is currently wanting to ban, you know, like gas stoves, gas furnaces, but we use gas. That's what we use. Okay. This is what we use to cook our food. This is what we use, you know, to heat our home, to heat the water. My dad one time, and this is one of them times whenever I'm kind of surprised my dad didn't smack me. Okay. Because he said that, you know, he referred to it as a hot water heater. And I said, Dad, that's why it broke. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you purchased a hot water heater. Well, hot water don't need to be heated, so therefore it had nothing to do. That's why the hot water heater broke. Dad's like, all right, smart ass, what would you call it? And I go, a water heater. He just kind of, And just you can tell. Just the look on it, you can tell. He wanted to, whoosh, and it would have been deserved. You know, I lipped off. It was deserved, you know, worth it, but deserved. Just saying, you know, but I live in an area where we have, and we rely on gas appliances. We do. So, I mean, in the summer or in the winter time, you know, not really a big deal, you know, because we use way less, you know, electricity. We use more gas. In the summer months with the air conditioners and whatnot, yeah, you know, having a little extra something might be kind of nice. But I mean, here's the thing, though. It being cost effective, I just don't see it. Especially whenever you take into consideration, without the government subsidies, how many of us would truly do that? I mean, I know, just no. If it wasn't for some of those advertisements going, hey, we'll pay for it, I wouldn't even consider it. I don't want to buy an EV now. Because I know that, you know, the batteries that they use, all this other kind of stuff is very bad for the environment on how they get it. No good way of disposing it. They're not recyclable. I mean, you got some companies that are working on that, but even still, they're not recyclable. These wind turbines, you know, everything that they use in the making of those things, not recyclable. The power grid is run off of, you know, coal. And they're wanting to, you know, get rid of all those and making, you know, the cost of energy way more expensive. I mean, let's face it, you know, 86% of the power grid is coal. Not even 10% of it is, you know, nuclear. And then the rest is wind and solar. That's not very much. So you're still using fossil fuels to charge your EV. And yet you're wanting to save the environment with the pollutions and everything else is great stuff in there. And I did not, okay, I seen it in there. I didn't read it. now you deleted it. That's horrible. Anyway. Yeah. No, not going to do it. So, did y'all hear about, the left in talking about Joe, talking about good old Joe, sniffy Joe, plagiarizing Joe, pedophile Joe. Brian puts in here, he goes, solar panels are not cost effective for me and EVs are not practical for me either. Yeah, I mean, definitely not. Dave puts in here, he goes, I love my gas stove. I've been using it the last few weeks to cook steak, pork, chicken, lamb, fish, and sometimes eggs. Awesome. Dude, I grew up on a gas stove. You know, gas stove, gas oven. I grew up on that, man. That's what I grew up on. You know, I was actually upset. You know, having a stove, Jim Crow Joe. I like that. I like that, Brian. Jim Crow Joe. Yeah. I was upset moving out of the house, out of my parents' house, and electric stoves. Electric stove. Electric stove. Electric stove. Finally, I have a gas stove again. Love it. And I actually think it's a gas. Okay, my ideal, and this is actually what my mother has now, but my ideal is like gas range and electric oven. That would be my ideal. Just because it's more, you know, temperature accurate and whatnot as far as the oven goes. But as far as the range goes, you know, it's gas. Dude, I'm all about gas. I'm all about, dude, ask. I'm all about gas. You know, all about it. All about the gas. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I was born with, raised with. You know, that whole don't touch it, it's hot. Yes, it is. Yeah, my mom looked at me like I was the biggest idiot that day. She's like, didn't I just tell you it was hot? I said, yeah, but you didn't tell me how hot. If you would have told me it was really freaking hot, then I wouldn't have touched it. She just kind of looked at me and was like, no. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, and I left after burning myself and, you know, cold water. Anyway, yeah. So you also have heard about this whole, you know, thing with everything in is gas in my house, only way to go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, this headline from National Review. Comer asked Biden for receipts related to brother's supposed loan payment. I'm sure you guys have heard by this time, or at least I'm hoping you've heard by this time, that, oh, there it is. To be honest, it's totally unrelated, but some of the darkest time in my life was living in a house with an electric stove. My happiest time in my life, coincidentally, was when I was able to cook food or a gas stove. Go figure. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I prefer gas. Dude, I prefer gas. Just, it's easier for me to cook on gas because I can see how high that flame is. You know, for me, that's what it amounts to. I can see how high that flame is. It's easy for me to see how high that flame is. But I can't, you know, just by looking at the dial sometimes, you know, my eyeballs don't eyeball too well. And you know, things don't cook quite the, I don't know temperature. I know flameage. You know, give me flameage, flame on. All right? I'm good. Anyway. Oh, crap. That was not intentional. So I'm sure by now you guys have heard about the money that Jim, Joe Biden's brother, like how much money was it? Oh, man, I got to scroll on this because, $200,000 check. Okay. The left keeps on telling us, hey, you know, get the receipts. You know, hey, there's corruption, there's this, there's that, there's the other, you know, and get receipts. You know, there's no evidence whatsoever. Get receipts and then we might believe you. And well, guess what? We have receipts now. You know, as if there was any question whatsoever, which there wasn't. But, you know, yeah, we have the receipts. And right after Jim Biden gets a check, and I believe it was for $200,000 as well, the same day, Jim writes Joe a $200,000 check. And then the claim was that, oh, this wasn't influence peddling. This wasn't selling the brand. You know, this was a loan repayment. A loan repayment. You actually expect us to believe that. Okay. And so Comer, and of which case, hat tip to him, he's like, okay, Biden, if this is a loan payment, then we want your receipts for this. We want the loan documentation. We want your IRS documentation. We want, you know, if this was done in the uppity up, as it should be with this amount of money, because it's a lot of money, $200,000, that's a lot of money, guys. You know, was this a, interest free, what the loan, was this a payment or was this the full amount of the loan? You know, let's get some paperwork in here, because at this point, what's going on? Because there's no coinciding payment that they have found from Joe's bank account to Jim's bank account. Nothing. Because this is like more than his yearly salary at the time. Or about, roughly, it was his yearly salary at the time. That was the size of the loan that that he gave Jim. You know, it's like, so you mean to tell me that in 1 year you didn't have any bills, you didn't have to eat, you didn't have to, pay any bills whatsoever. Everything was paid for you, one way, shape, or form, and you just gave your entire yearly salary to your brother. Okay, like we believe that? No. Like he had that just sitting in the bank? No. And again, if Joe, if you're telling the truth, man, then, and you're the, best president we've ever had, the most legal conscience and everything else. And you do no wrong, and you're an amazing president, amazing guy, even though you're a baby sniffer and plagiarizing and everything else. Give us your receipts for this loan that you gave your brother Jim, validating the claim that this was just a loan repayment. If this was on the uppity up, then give us the IRS documentation about, the interest rates and, because you got to claim that money. With a loan that size, it has to be claimed both by Jim and by Joe. Where's the documentations, Joe? Where's the documentations at, man? Fact of the matter is, there is none. Fact of the matter is, there is no documentation. So we've got the border, the worst year ever under Biden's presidency. Corruption out the yin yang. Let's just face it. Joe's bought and paid for. You've got Bidenomics, a disaster. Inflation, worst in 50 years. Oh man. I mean, guys, things are bad on that account. Okay, things are pretty bad. Oh, that's funny, Brian. Brian puts in here, he goes, maybe it's on Hunter Biden's laptop. That's freaking hilarious. With the receipts and the IRS statements. That's funny. That's funny. So things are pretty stinking bad. Okay, things are pretty stinking bad. And you look at the border, inflation, Bidenomics. You look at all this stuff and it's like the Democrats understand that with Biden, they're in trouble. They see this, they realize this. It's bad. Okay? It's bad. And everything is indicating that Biden is just going to be a one-term president. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the last segment. I'm not going to focus a lot on it right now. Oh, we have a call-in. Good morning, sir. You are on the air. How are you doing?
Jared, Dave Canyon here. How are you?
I am fantastic. How about yourself, Dave?
All right, great. Am I coming in loud and clear, or is it fuzzy?
Oh, you're coming in clear to me.
All right, I'm in the Kia Rio, the dumbing it down mobile, and I'm headed home. So I wanted to chime in. I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Going.
I don't mind at all.
What's interesting? Thank you. It's great to hear from you. Great to see you. I'm so glad I finally get to catch a show. We had the weirdest timing, you and mostly me. Your timing is fine. My timing is way off. But so let's get to it. Joe Biden is, you said a liar. We know he's a liar. If I was a Democrat, I would, this guy's a liar. He was a liar way back. He's on video lying. Sam Donaldson caught him. I think Cokie Roberts caught him. They all have caught him lying. And not only does he lie, he says the dumbest things to make a point. And you look at him going, what? Like, there's a whole history. You know it. You've seen it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right.
It's terrifying. But the most recent, well, not the most recent, because he's good for almost a daily lie.
Oh, yeah.
Or a daily stupid comment. You know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's definitely, spouting off stupid stuff all the time, telling stories numerous different ways. Yeah, I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So here's one of the latest. A couple of months ago, when they asked him about this money, the Biden money, the China money, the Hunter money, he says in his stupid little way, he says to the reporter, whoever asked him, I forgot who it was, I know you've seen this clip, he goes, where's the money? Where is it? He asked. He didn't deny, no, there's no money. He goes, where's the money? This guy is probably one of the worst poker players. I don't play poker, but I know if he played poker, he's one of the worst because he has a tell. And he has a way of saying things, and what he's saying is basically incriminating himself. There's a whole history of him doing that. And when he said, where's the money, I was like, oh, so you're challenging us to finding it. You're not saying there's clearly no money. He challenged the reporter and he challenged the world to find it. I don't know if you've ever seen that clip. It wasn't that long ago.
I do remember that clip, but I didn't look at it that way at the time. I mean, but you're right. He very much was like, dude, all right, it wasn't a denial. It was a prove it.
Right. Because in his mind, he sees the money. He knows where it is. And when he was working on getting that money, there was this whole I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I can only imagine that a criminal would say, so I'm never going to be caught, right? Hunter, right? You got it down, right? Just call me the big guy. Don't refer to me as president or vice president or Joe or dad. This the big guy. All right, so this is what criminals do. They come up with these ways they don't get caught. And when Joe was asked that question, I looked at it, I went, oh, in his mind, he sees the money. He knows he received the money. He knows it's there. But he wonders how the reporter knows. He wonders how the world knows. And then he says out loud, where's the money? And I'm like, whoa. When I saw that, I tell you, I was startled. I went, oh, well, that's not a denial. That's to prove it, like you said. And I'm like, oh, you know what? He's guilty. And that's and I don't play poker. I don't. But to me, that's a tell.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
didn't deny it. Yeah. So it's Jared, you're going to go on about the border. It's just. What's the top? If David Letterman was around, I mean, he was a lefty too, but I'd like to hear his top 10, how Biden ruined the United States, because there's got to be at least 10 by now. There's got to be at least 10 different things, Afghanistan, the border, but those 10 are going to go, and I'm not a mathematician, but it's going to be 10 to the second power before you know it.
Right.
And I really, really can't believe that here we are in 2023. This is very serious. I'm not trying to be funny. I can't believe we haven't been taken over. I can't believe. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but they are here. They are here. They're inside, and they are working on it. And I'm not prepared. I'm serious as I can be. I'm not prepared, and 99% of this country is not prepared for the unfortunate events that are about to happen, because they are here. Iranians, Chinese, they're all over the country. We don't know their names. We don't know where they live. And I can't imagine how they're making money. I can't imagine what they're doing to afford rent or food or whatever, because you drive a truck, you work, I work, and we barely get by. I mean, we do okay. We're truck drivers. But, there's people out there at McDonald's, and they're having a tough time. So how are these guys working? How are they affording it? Somehow money is getting into this country. They're here, Jared. I don't know if you already said this. I might have missed a couple of shows, but I'm nervous for this country. It's going to get – I can't believe we haven't taken over yet. 2023. He's been in office for 3 years. So that's my take.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're in scary times right now. We really are. And that's one of the things, going back to what you had said earlier, with with what happened with Ukraine, okay, with the money that he got through Hunter Biden, and the all this stuff, the correspondence was on the laptop, and the Ukrainian people that sent the money over, $5 million to Biden and $5 million to Joe, it would take them 10 years to track down the money to figure out how we did it. So that's one of the things that gives Joe his confidence in this is, he hides it well. He's figured out the shell game.
Well, I think he thought he did, but I think it's slowly coming apart. The key to the coming apart is Hunter, with his cocaine and his wacky behavior, Joe's tells, and Democrats being afraid of losing in 2024, not being able to rely on Kamala. They got to get him out, and they might have to incriminate their boss, the adult in the room, because they're going to lose. I shouldn't say that I'm a jinx, because I predicted Trump's a romp. I don't know if you remember my podcast, but I was I do. It's going to be 70-30. It's going to be insane. And Trump is going to destroy Biden. And then, wow. I mean, and I don't think I was delusional like the Hillary Clinton supporters in 2016 when they were crying and like, no, this country is doing great. We're doing better than ever. This is great. And we recovered from COVID, the COVID disaster with the economy, and they and somehow Biden won. And they're going to turn on him. They're turning on him already, and I think that's going to help things come to light because they got to get rid of him. And I think they're afraid that they're afraid of Trump, and they're afraid of whoever. It's going to be Trump as far as I'm concerned, but they're afraid of anybody because this guy can't handle it. He's done, and they're going to turn him. So you got his tells, his lies are going to come to fruition and stab him, and then Hunter and Kamala and the Democratic Party. We just need one more or two more things, and he's totally toast. I mean, I hope not for the country, but I hope for the country. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, I can't. I don't want anything bad to happen to him, but it's time for him to retire and go out to pasture. He's definitely suffering from dementia. He's having issues. He's not healthy, and I don't even know at this point who's in control of the country right now.
Oh, and I want everybody to know, I used to be a Democrat. Up until Rush Limbaugh's first book, I used to be a Democrat. But I would still be saying today, I'm like, okay, well, just like Tulsi Gabbard or a few others, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but guess what? This guy's out to lunch. I need a leader. I need somebody. We need a Reagan. We need somebody who's, again, we need an adult in the room, but not an adult who wears diapers. We need an adult with common sense. And this guy is, it's so easy to beat up on him. I don't want to do that. It's low-hanging fruit. But the truth is, I think the enemy is here. And how about this? It's so much easier to be here now than it was before 2001. It's much easier to get in. They are already here. They're swimming across. They're flying in. They're driving in. It's craziness. And I don't even know how they're coming from Iran. I see the numbers on TV. So, again, I don't want to take over your show. I just couldn't text anymore. And when you start talking about Biden, I go, this is nuts. And I don't know what to do. They're here. And they got sleeper cells, and their comms are poor. Their comms are on the corner. There's no great electronics here, but somehow they're getting money. Somehow they're living. Jared, can you imagine? Can you imagine you walk across the border, then what? You just stand there and go, now what? I gotta go live somewhere. I gotta go work somewhere. How do I do that? How are they doing it? Who's hiring them?
The sad part is it's well, okay, let's put it this way. So Elon Musk got a lawsuit against him because he didn't hire enough people that were foreigners at SpaceX. illegal aliens. He didn't hire enough illegal aliens, which is, against the law to hire people who are not legally allowed to work here. And he was investigated because he didn't break the law.
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
They can't. How can there be a quota on hiring illegal aliens? How is that? That's not good English, and that doesn't make any sense. But only common sense people see that.
Yeah. I was like, are you kidding? He's being investigated and treated negatively because he followed the law. Wow. I mean, that's
crazy.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Again, you can make a top 10 list. And I did a podcast. I don't need to mention my podcast, on your show.
Oh, hey, please do.
I did a podcast where the original pandemic, the pandemic that we had was not the original pandemic. The original pandemic is a slow crawl to polluting the brains of the people in this country. You know how we always say those people drink the juice? Well, that would be too easy to get people to drink the juice. They're eating the cereal loaded with sugar and other chemicals. I did it. I sat there and I watched Hong Kong Phooey and Super Friends every Saturday, and I ate all that cereal, but I did cancel it with a lot of good food that my mom made for me the rest of the week. Even my wife says, boy, your blood test, for a guy who's obese like you got great blood test. My doctor always said, other than your weight, you're incredibly healthy. So my point is, they're doing it via the cereal. They're doing it via certain foods and snacks and cookies and cakes. They're doing it via television, via online. They're doing it in schools. And Jared, I know you watch the news and you go, what? And they closed Grand Central Station in New York today for the protest to a ceasefire in Gaza.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. What?
Yeah, it makes it just wow. I mean, it makes no sense to me what's going on right now. It really doesn't.
Right, I'll let you do your show. I could go on and on. It's your show. I love your show, Jared. I'm so glad I caught you. I'm glad that I had some time. I'm glad you went. I probably made you even later than you wanted to be. I hope you're doing good. I'm pretty sure trucking is working out for you. It's working out for me. I'll say that right now.
Right,
and if anybody wants a job and making a lot of money, go get your CDLA. And if you want to do hazmat, you'll make a lot more money.
Oh, heck yeah.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, heck yeah. But and that's another. I mean, look at these kids. These kids don't want to work. I got a son. He's 26 years old. I'm a CDLA driver. I make decent money, better for a high school, barely a high school graduate. And I say, Kyle, you're making no money at the supermarket. You do nothing there. You got no career there. You got no future there. Drive a truck. No. We can't hire people at my job. Jared, we're going into the slow season. You know my industry. We're going into the slow season.
Yeah.
I feel for this company coming up in May and June. I feel bad because they're going to be shorthanded on the trucks and shorthanded on the crews. Because you make roads and all that. Anyway, that's a tangent. But I'm scared for this country, Jared. That's my point of calling. I just open up all the wrong doors and you got idiots pulling fire alarms trying to get out of the doors.
Yeah, that was ridiculous too, wasn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
I needed to go vote, so I needed to open the door. How did you do it? I opened the fire alarm. What?
As school principal, I had no idea what a fire alarm was. I didn't know what it was going to do. Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
at least I was single file. And I wasn't talking. But you know what?
Yeah.
And then he doesn't go through the door. But then he doesn't go through the door.
Yeah,
From what I understand.
Turns around and goes the other way. He's like, oh, crap. Well, maybe I shouldn't go that way.
I mean, are you kidding me? And then he talks about, I'm looking forward to my plea deal. I'm looking forward to paying the fine, and then getting back to business as usual. Dunce. This guy should go see the principal. This guy's got to go to the dean. He's got to go see the Speaker of the House and say, sit in the corner, dummy. You're pulling a fire alarm, you moron. Pulling a fire alarm, Jared. He's an adult.
Yeah,
and
that was so
country.
ridiculous. Yeah, that was so ridiculous.
I wish I had the time. I would come up with a top 100. Forget about top 10. Top 100 of the dumbest things you've seen since Biden has taken office. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. All right. That's it, Jared. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take over.
Hey, that is quite all right. I appreciate the call.
Great job, Jared. I'll talk to you. I'll see you next week, maybe.
Yep. All right. You have a good one.
You got it. Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye. And that was Dave Canyon, host of Dumbing It Down with Dave. You can find that wherever podcasts can be found. Again, that is Dumbing It Down with Dave, Mr. Dave Canyon. Talked about a lot on that call. Really did. I mean, and stuff that I've covered in previous shows and stuff that we're actually going to be talking about. So let's get back into it. This, the heck? Oh, okay. Let's see. What was we trying to find the, the border. Yep. Covered that. Yeah, one-term president. Okay, so let's get into this headline from Daily Caller. Second Biden-appointed prosecutor confirms that he refused to cooperate on Hunter Biden case. You see, this is the thing. And this is the thing that Dave was also talking about, was they are covering for what this guy's doing. They're covering for him. They are protecting him. They're protecting him. They're protecting Hunter Biden. And this guy, the second appointed prosecutor, confirms that he refused to cooperate on the Hunter Biden case. And there's been some stuff that's coming out that's just like, some things that I've been hearing. I forget more than what I remember most of the time. I really do. But I mean, just so much information on, been hearing about, people that are just, blocking what's going on, whistleblowers, just a blatant refusal to prosecute him for something, like the not paying taxes. They purposefully held up the prosecution, as in the prosecutor did this, so that this way the statute of limitations would pass. Meantime, you have former President Donald Trump that's being prosecuted for things where 80% of the things he was being prosecuted for was past the statute of limitations, and, well, he can't be prosecuted for them. Not to mention things where there was no crime present on something that made no sense to, how can you prosecute somebody for overvaluing their property in order to get a loan when the loan was paid back and there was no complaints about anything? And they were like, oh, well, we say that you overvalued your home, even though you paid back the loan that you overvalued your home to get, and this is just the way we're going to operate. Really? And it's past the statute of limitations. Was you aware of that? Was y'all aware of that? I hope you was, because these are the ridiculous things that they are doing to Donald Trump. These are the ridiculous things that they're doing to Donald Trump. With the COVID thing, and I didn't get into any of that at all. Rand Paul's new book exposing the great COVID cover-up by Anthony Fauci and others. I mean, that was redonkulous. The gain of function research that they paid for, that we paid for, knowing that it came over here before they actually told us that it came over here, like confirmed from, November. I mean, really? The mystery virus that we got in November prior to them claiming, I think it was in March, this happened. Yeah. I mean, just so many things. They know that they are in a bad way. Democrats know, because they, they don't have anybody in the bullpen. They got like two people that, the governor of New York, of which case your New York is not run very good. Taxes out the yin yang. And you're going to go up against somebody that, it's just that they know. They got nobody in the bullpen, which is one of the reasons why they are so terrified of, what's his name? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This headline from She Knows. Donald Trump Jr. bizarrely claimed this presidential candidate is a Democrat plant that could ruin his father's campaign. Now, here's the thing. I'm not familiar with this. She Knows that I'm not familiar with them. Never seen them before. I am familiar with this claim that Republicans are somehow afraid that he's going to take votes away. But I can tell you this, we're not. We're not afraid of this whatsoever. New York government, most corrupt government. You got that right, Dave. Most corrupt government. That means the shady things that are going on over there. I mean, holy crap. I mean, they tax you to death, and when you die, they tax you again. I mean, it's ridiculous. But Republicans are not terrified of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We're not. This is a narrative that is being promoted by the left. Why? Because they know. Okay, one, he may take some votes away from President Trump. But I mean, let's face it, the people whom he, the votes that he would take away from President Trump probably weren't going to be voting for him anyway. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She ain't voting for Trump. Let's just be honest. Wasn't going to happen. They're terrified because he's going to split the Democrat vote, and they can't have that. They're at least warming up to the fact, and Dave and I talked about this on the phone call, they've woken up to the fact that, that he's not going to win. Because the more they attack Trump, the more popular this man becomes. It's great. I find it hilarious. I mean, you think about it. Ever since they started attacking him, his popularity, his poll numbers has been growing and growing and growing. And here's the thing too that cracks me up. Okay, you have this judge that's putting a gag order on him, and it's like, okay, look, this is a political attack, and everybody is seeing this for what it is. Let's just be clear. This is a political attack, okay? The people that were arrested, the guy that got 22 freaking years, he wasn't there. There was no communication. He did not promote, support, provide aid for, any direction, nothing. He got 22 years in prison for doing what? Nothing. Political prisoners that have spent time in jail, prosecuted, all kinds of other things. None of these people were arrested for or have been convicted of or has been charged with insurrection. And yet they're claiming insurrection, but that's beside the point. You see, we have political prisoners in our country. Everybody knows that what Donald Trump is facing right now are political attacks. They're not criminal attacks. These aren't criminal attacks in the least. It's political. It's completely political, and they know it. Marjorie is not a Trump supporter, really? Yeah, I'm pretty. I could have the name wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. No, she's not a Trump supporter. No, not Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm thinking of oh, good grief, who am I thinking of? Not Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's not who I'm thinking of. McCain. What's her name? That's who I'm thinking of. McCain. Yeah. That gal. That's who I'm thinking of. But yeah, those are the type of people that, that is where the, the vote would go to him, but that's not even somebody who would be voting for Trump anyway. That's why they are afraid of him. They're trying to change the narrative so that this way, you see, this is what it amounts to. And the Democrats do this a lot. Okay. Democrats do this because they will lie and gear us up to hate somebody or to take a stance on something, basically to do their dirty work for them. You see, they don't want to flat destroy Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that at all. Yeah, yes, exactly. Meghan McCain, that's the name. But they want us to do their dirty work for him because here's the thing. You see, Democrats circle the wagons. They protect their own. But if there's really somebody that they want to attack, if there's really somebody that they want removed from removed from power, if there's somebody that they want to be brutally attacked on, mainstream media, social media, what have you, they don't do it themselves. they trick Republicans to do it for them. That's what they do. And they've been doing this for years. You know, they have been. That's just kind of the way they operate. So let's recap. You have, holy crap, what in the world? Anyway, you have Biden looking horrible. Things are coming out that are just blatant. He's guilty. He has sold influence. He's on the take. There's no other way to put it. It's plain and simple, as plain as the nose on my face. I can see it. It's there. They have nobody in the bullpen. They don't have anybody to fill the shoes. They don't have anybody that's electable. Let's put it that way. Nobody that's electable. They're kind of stuck with Biden, and Biden is a horrible choice, you know. And there's, you know, it's kind of like, okay, Bernie Sanders, you know, they're not going to go behind him. They're not going to support him because, well, he's not, I mean, even though he walks in the same circles as a Democrat, he's not a Democrat, you know? So, I mean, it's kind of hard for the mainstream, you know, for the Democrats to really get behind somebody who's not a Democrat. They will. Brian puts in and goes, Trump says that he will pardon January 6ers on day one. And I'm sure he will. Because, you know, like I said, I mean, it's blatantly obvious those people are in there for, you know, and it's nothing more than, you know, they're political prisoners. I mean, really, they prosecuted somebody for what happened at January 6th whenever there was, you know, somebody that wasn't even there. Somebody that didn't promote, didn't assist, didn't have anything to say regarding the protest at the Capitol. And they gave him 22 years. They even admittedly acknowledged that this guy did something wrong. I don't remember what his name is, but they acknowledged that he did nothing wrong. They acknowledged this. And they still gave him 22 years in prison. I want you to think about that for a second. Somebody that the prosecutors acknowledged that did nothing wrong. They threw the book at him and then some. 22 years, political prisoner. Brian puts in there, he goes, let Jeb Bush run as a Democrat. He sold out the other party. Yeah, he definitely sold out the Republicans. You know, and that's that's a good point, by the way, because nothing infuriates me more than these rhino Republicans. You know, we have way too many Republicans that are actually Democrats. There aren't any Democrats that are actually Republicans. What do you think about that for a second? We have a term for these people. We call them rhinos, Republicans in name only, because they're not Republicans. They're Democrats. They fly the R because it helps them get elected in the districts that they're in, not because they're actually Republicans. I mean, these people might be just a little bit better than the Democrat counterparts that they run against in their districts, but they're not Republicans. They're not friends to you and I. I mean, let's face it, none of these people are. But that's beside the point. All right, let's move on. Where are we going at now? That was okay. All right, so we got one more segment to do. We're already over 2 hours. That's okay. You know what? We got one more segment to do. Something that is got to be discussed. Okay. This last segment is very, very, very important. Something that actually Dave and I talked about, you know, a topic that came up, you know, with this phone call. Very important topic. Okay. Very important. Don't go anywhere. Oh, wait, that's too long. I don't want to do that one. Let's do this one. Just a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Very important segment right on the other side of this.
You are correct. You are correct. You are correct. You are correct.
Have you ever sat down on your throne just to find out that you are dangerously low on shift tickets, making it to where you have to make a mad dash to the store just to pick yourself up some? If this has ever happened to you, pick up the #1 most rated toilet paper found in Uranus and use what the professionals use. Angel Soft. See, I'm just not a fan of some toilet paper. Some of them it's like putting a pillow between your nice rosy. Others, like John Wayne toilet paper, it's like using sandpaper. But do what the professionals use. Use the type of toilet paper that is the Goldilocks of brands, Angel Soft. Available wherever toilet paper is sold.
Welcome back. This next topic that we're going to cover is, okay, this is where, as they say, shit gets real. Okay? This next topic. All right? We talked a little bit about Joe Biden. Historically speaking, we vote for a wartime president. Okay. Joe Biden is about to open us up to a four-front war. Ukraine, Israel. Who we're going to be supporting in either one of those, I have no idea. Taiwan. We've already sent money their way. You know, we sent money to Ukraine last time around, and the last batch of money that we sent to Ukraine, we also sent money to Israel, and we also sent money to Taiwan to help them against China. And just recently, Joe Biden has, without backing of the House of Representatives, but also sending money to the Philippines. So Joe Biden is working on putting us into a four-front war. I'm going to bring up 4 headlines real quick. Okay. 4 headlines. They all have the same basic warning / theme in here. You got this headline. From 1945, a Navy aircraft carrier is on the move towards Iran's doorstep. You have this headline from the U.S. Sun. And where is that headline? There it is. Iran launches war games with 200 attack helicopters and missiles as Israel tension rage and U.S. warships gather in the Mediterranean. You have this headline, again, from 1945. This could get messy. Joe Biden ordered F-16 fighters to hit Iran's bases in Syria. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. And this headline from the Daily Wire, U.S. military strikes facilities used by Iran's military terror proxies in Syria. So there you go. And Brian adds in here, he goes, 5 if you count the southern border. There's a military term for this that we've done this before, okay? This has done this before. I recommend y'all's reading a history book from time to time, okay? Read about World War II. Terrify yourself by reading about World War I. And just how quickly things went from nothing's going on to 1 week later, World War I. Yeah, you heard that right. That wasn't hyperbole. That, 1 week is how long it took for things to heat up, go from, the water's cool, calm, and collected as it comes out of the faucet to it's boiling on the stove. It took it 1 week for that to happen at World War I. Read your history. But this term they call mission creep. I had forgotten that term. I was trying to remember because it's been a term that I've been hearing getting tossed around all week. Mission creep. Because this is what we did. We did this in Vietnam. We did this in Korea. And, it could be argued, and easily so, that we didn't win any one of these things, even though they weren't exactly wars. They were, more police actions, especially in Vietnam. It was politicized. And gee, do you really think that this isn't going to be politicized? But anyway, mission creep. What are we doing right now? Sending warships to the Mediterranean, over to Iran, financially supporting Taiwan, the Philippines, Ukraine, Israel, and Hamas. I mean, let's face it, we're financially, that's why I said, I don't know who we're going to be backing, Russia or, Ukraine, Israel, or Hamas, because, let's face it, we're giving money to both. We're giving money to Russia by policy. We're giving money to Hamas by proxy, because we're giving money to Palestine. But let's face it, all that money goes to Hamas. Let's face it, we funded the terror tunnels over there in Gaza. That was us. We did that. Your tax dollars, yours and mine, paid for that. I hope you're proud of what the government's doing. But they're doing this thing called mission creep. They're getting us closer and closer into the proximity of what is going on, these wars that are being waged elsewhere. I don't know if you remember this story. It came out sometime last week, but there was, who fired it? I don't think it was Syria. I'm going to have to get out like Google Maps or something to look and figure out and remember. Maps. maps.google.com. Kabam! There we go. Maps.google.com. Now, there was this, somebody fired a missile, and it was, they were firing it. It might have been, was it Turkey? I don't think it was Turkey. I thought it was Syria. I think it was Syria. They was firing a missile towards Israel. And they fired it over Syria. So it must have been Turkey. Or maybe it was, nope. Wasn't them, wasn't Georgia. Wasn't them people. It wasn't them. Okay, so it had to have been Turkey. It must have been Turkey. But they fired it over Syrian airspace. And we intervened. That's what the news basically said at the time. We intervened. We shot the rocket down. Come to find out, it wasn't just a rocket, it was also a drone. Come to find out that it wasn't a rocket, it wasn't just a drone, it was multiple rockets, multiple drones, and this lasted for 9 hours. Rockets and drones being fired over Syria to attack Israel, and we intervened. Our Navy intervened. Do you hear what I'm saying, people? This kind of intervention are things that is considered acts of war by many nations. We know this. We chose to do it anyway. We are in South China Sea. We are in the Mediterranean. I believe the Arabian Sea. Looking at this, let's show you. Okay, so we have forces in the Mediterranean Sea. You can't see my mouse, but it's right there, Mediterranean Sea. We have forces going up to Iran right now. That's the Arabian Sea. There you go. We also have forces over here in the Philippines and Taiwan. We have forces in the South China Sea, the Arabian Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. There you go. That's where we have forces right there. Mediterranean Sea, South China Sea, probably the Philippine Sea, and the Arabian Sea. Our Navy, our warships, our young men and women, things are not looking good, people. And we're being led by a president who can't find his way off of a stage, who can't walk up freaking steps on Air Force One, a president that can't work a full day, a full week, and hasn't since day one when he's been in the White House. We have an incompetent, incapable president that is on the take, that is bought and paid for by the very countries that we're supposed to be defending these other nations against. Russia, Hamas, Iran, terrorist organizations. World War III is not coming, it's here. It's already being fought. in Ukraine, in Israel, Iran. It's only a matter of time before China invades Taiwan. It's only a matter of time before, North Korea takes over South Korea. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Oh, hey, look, there's Ukraine right there. Here's my fear, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look, there's South Korea. Here's my fear. We were fortunate in World War I. Wasn't fought on American soil. With the exception of Alaska, and a small military base right here in this area, where my mouse is that you can't see. I'm wiggling my mouse and you can't see it. So with the exception of those two places in Alaska, and this wasn't like our actual military, this was basically National Guard people that were defending this station in Alaska from Russian invasion. We were relatively untouched in World War II. I don't see that happening this time around. I just don't. Our government is trying really, really hard to take away your Second Amendment. At the very least, render that right impotent. Oh, you can have a gun, but you can't have bullets. Oh, you want a rifle? Here's a musket. I want a cannon. Nah, it's too big. Sorry. Can't have a cannon. But I want a cannon. Doesn't matter. Our founding fathers couldn't have possibly imagined a world where we had things like semi-automatic weapons and automatic weapons, and we just can't have that. They meant this to be for hunting, muskets, and that alone, even though they had repeating weapons and automatic weapons, but no. They didn't intend it for that. The Second Amendment doesn't. Okay, yeah, like our founding fathers, envisioned a world, instant communication around the globe and interwebs and cell phones and cameras and freedom of speech, freedom of press, and all that kind of stuff. They never could have imagined. But, so they can use the printing press, even though they had the printing press back then. But they can use the printing press. They can use, the interwebs. They don't have to use, a pen and quill, and they don't have to use a soapbox on the public square, but we're still forced to use muskets. Okay. So you have a government, period, that wants to take away your Second Amendment right, your ability to defend yourselves against all enemies, foreign and domestic. World War III is gearing up. Civil War is gearing up. All these things are gearing up right around the corner. World War III has already started. The thing that has helped keep us safe is the one thing they are trying to take away. A gun behind every blade of grass. My fear, and I don't use that word lightly. I don't. My fear is World War III will be fought on American soil. Bless the nation who blesses Israel. Isn't that what the Bible says? Read your Bible. Isn't that what it says? Are we, as a nation, blessing Israel right now? Union Station, defending Hamas. The Democrats, period, defending Hamas. Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The leadership of the Democrat Party. Joe Biden. In support and defense of Hamas. I mean, Joe Biden went over there to Israel with the sole purpose of delaying Israel's response to the attack. Who are they supporting? Are they supporting Israel's right to defend themselves? No, they ordered Israel to cease fire. Not Hamas. Israel. To cease fire, to defend themselves against savages. Are you freaking kidding me? My point is, do we really have the cover and protection that we once had? We have nations, religion aside, we have nations hell-bent on the destruction of the United States. I mean, granted, okay, our destruction was first going to come from within, and it has, but what's opened the door for us to have destruction come to us from without? I fear World War III will be fought here on American soil. That's my fear. Just being honest with you. I mean, we have the Department of State saying, don't travel don't travel. Just don't leave the U.S. Don't leave the U.S. Our embassies overseas just aren't willing to help you. I mean, Joe Biden's administration was charging people money to get American citizens out of Israel after the attack. Are you kidding me? You give money to Mexico. You give my money to over 160 freaking countries. Countries that hate us. We give money. We have given oil out of our national oil reserve to freaking China. We give money to Russia. We give money to Iran. We gave money to Hamas, Hezbollah, Iraq, Mexico, South Korea, North Korea. We give money freaking everywhere. We can't pay to bring home American citizens in a war zone in Israel? Are you freaking kidding me? What the fuck? Yes, you heard me right. Biden's administration was charging Americans money to, the airfare to get them out of a war zone. Yeah, Brian puts in there, he goes, giving money from an empty cup. You ain't kidding. Dude, you want to hear something else terrifying? Either we are about to reach a threshold or we have reached a threshold that with our national debt, just the funded liability, not the unfunded, the funded, it's over $33 trillion. Our interest payments is right there at that threshold, right there at about $4 trillion. That's what our interest payments are right now. Guess how much our GDP is? Just over Like the interest payments on our national debt is like 4.1. Our GDP is like 4.2 right now. Do you understand what that means? Can you fathom? Do you understand what that means? That means that our GDP, what we make in a year, barely covers the interest on the debt we have incurred in this nation. And that's not even all of our debt. That's not counting the over $130 trillion in unfunded liability. The money just goes out. That's not appropriated for the money that just gets paid. You know, the pensions, the health care, the Medicaid, all that kind of crap. You know, that stuff that just gets paid. I'm talking about the stuff that Congress approves, the funded liability. We're at $33 trillion in national debt with the 4.1 interest rate yearly. We only bring in $4.2 trillion. We are almost at that point. We're right there. That the amount of money that we bring home every single year won't even be able to cover the interest on our national debt. How are we going to function as a nation moving forward? We have sent industry through Democrat policies overseas. Steel manufacturing. Everything's dependent upon computer chips. What happens when China invades Taiwan? That's where we get our computer chips. What happens? We barely have any oil in the oil reserves. What happens when we go to war against Russia, against Iran? They shut us off. They shut us down. Can we operate a war with what we have after President Biden emptied our oil reserves? No. They're going to shut us off. Then where are we at? I'll tell you where we're at. We're fucked, people. I hate to tell you that. We are. We're screwed. We're screwed. We're dependent upon foreign oil. And Biden emptied our oil reserves. Our military cannot function but for like 40 days on what we have right now. Not even 40 days. I think it's like 35. That's all we got. That's all we got. 35 days in the reserve that we can operate our military. What's that going to do? Nothing. Everything in our nation relies on computer technology. How are we going to produce things if we have no chips to put in? You know what? One of the biggest problems that we had during the COVIDs was with the computer chips and whatnot. You know, you had lots and lots and lots. I mean, acres and acres upon acres of vehicles that were built, that were put together, that were completely ready to be shipped out the door. They were missing one thing: computer chips. Couldn't produce enough computer chips during the pandemic. They shut the economy down. They shut everything down. They sent everybody home. And then whenever they started to bring stuff back, we had no computer chips. Thousands and thousands of vehicles sitting in plants that they couldn't ship anywhere because they needed computer chips. We're giving armaments, tanks, planes, trains, automobiles. We're giving them away to other nations. You know, we left how much stuff in the pullout? A lot. Giving how much to Israel and Ukraine? A lot. You know, granted, we're giving them stuff that is older and outdated, but the problem is we're not making new shit. And we're giving away all of our old shit. We don't have enough. Yeah. How good do you feel about things right now? Mission creep going on. We currently have the Navy in the Philippine Sea, in the South China Sea, in the Arabian Sea, in the Mediterranean Sea. Navy vessels already in the Mediterranean Sea, heading to the Arabian Sea. After what Joe Biden just said, we have them heading to the Philippine Sea and the South China Sea as we speak. How good do you feel about this? It's only a matter of time before Iran gets a nuclear weapon. It's only a matter of time before China invades Taiwan. It's only a matter of time. We suspect that they're like a month away from having nuclear warhead, nuclear bomb. That's what we suspect. I mean, say what you want to about, Kim Jong-un, about Rocket Man. The law of probability says you fire enough rockets into the air, sooner or later, you're going to hit your mark. How good do you feel? How good do you feel? How prepared are you for what's coming? And I hate these kind of shows, man. I really do. I hate these kind of shows. I don't like giving bad news. I don't like what's going on. But you know what? You need to be motherfucker. I really hope I just didn't kill the whole entire thing. Really hoping that stuff is still working out. Holy cow. I really do hate hold on a second. Yeah, so I really do hate accidentally pressing a button and shutting down everything on Restream. I don't know if it shut down or if I just shut down the website. I'm hoping that still worked fine. It should have been fine. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. So guys, really, that's all I got for today. That's it. I appreciate y'all stopping by. I appreciate the participation. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are amazing. Dave, thank you for joining, for calling. That was awesome. I do appreciate that too. You're always welcome. And also a thanks goes out to Linda. I do read her comments. She doesn't generally make the live show, but she pops in, and big thank you to her. Don't forget to head on over to alexexum.com/Halloween and check out that $9 a ticket for 6 Halloween horror shows. Head on over there, check it out. Y'all have yourself a good one, and I will see you next time.
This has been The Ho-Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.